What would you do if a family vacation turned into a paranormal mystery? How could the absence of ghostly activity online be more disconcerting than hundreds of testimonies? Who or what is watching the guests at the Marine Memorial Hotel? Today we test the believability of the vanishing woman.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
Where we dive into the unknown and the unusual.
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
Yes, thank you. And you know what? Just before we get started, I just want to say at the top, thank you everyone who's left us a review on Apple, because that really means a lot to us. And I just wanted to say it at the top before we get going.
Yeah. You're not going to make them work for it. Listen to the whole episode before we get to that whole spiel.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. I appreciate it.
Can I ask you something up front?
Please.
Is this episode called The Vanishing Woman just about somebody like on Tinder and then they get ghosted? And
Just getting ghosted?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. I was talking to her and she just vanished.
Getting ghosted 101. I was showing her my Star Wars figurine collection. I don't know what went wrong.
I was showing her my D&D miniatures that I painted, and she disappeared.
She must have died. I think that's the only thing that could explain it.
Oh man. No, this is not. This is a listener submission story from John.
From John.
John, and this story takes place in one of my favorite cities, San Francisco.
Have you ever been to San Francisco?
I have, yeah.
Did you ride the trolley thing?
I did not ride a trolley.
Were you in Full House?
Yeah, definitely.
Fuller House?
I didn't get invited back.
You married Kate and Ashley Olsen them. Another thing I want to say about just your questions, because that's all I have right now is your questions. Like, we've talked about this a million times. Only one of us ever reads the listener submissions, and we don't touch them until the episode comes up. So I have no idea what's going to happen in this. But you said what would happen, or something along the lines of a paranormal event happening on vacation.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, because you're already in a different state of mind. You're not at home. Like, you're not in the same bed. You're not in your same town or city, unless you're doing a staycation, which was, I guess, all of 2020. But there's something different. But you're in a unique area that you probably haven't been in. So everything's already foreign to you. And then to have, like, some paranormal activity happen on top of that, I think that's awesome, as long as it's not dangerous.
Yeah, you'll see. I mean, it starts at the beginning and then at the end.
Is there a middle?
No.
There's no middle. We just go beginning to end.
Just two bookends, just together.
Perfect. Holding air. Great.
Like I said, it's a listener submission from John, and he sent us this letter, and I wanted to start with a quote from him because it's really, really nice.
There wasn't actually a letter, though, right?
I mean, an email.
I didn't know
it was sent by an old man with a mustache on a horse.
I don't know if I just watched that Family Guy.
So let me skip and let me read this first thing that he sent us. This is a quote. Hey, Tyler and Charlie. Before sharing this experience with you guys, I just wanted to say I'm a big fan of the show, and I hope you guys keep doing these in the foreseeable future. My name is John, and I recently started a new job that has me working from 11 p.m. to early mornings. Have you ever worked night shifts?
I worked one shift on Thanksgiving, Black Friday, where it was like 11 p.m. to 7 a.m., and I've never done it since, and I don't plan on doing it again.
I worked night shift twice in my life. I hated it.
Was that when you were at FedEx? Yeah,
that was one time. And then the other time I was working at a supermarket, and I was stocking shelves.
Mine was at Old Navy, and I still love Old Navy a lot. And John, we do plan on, at least for the foreseeable future, continue putting episodes out. So I see you just wanted to give ourselves a pat on the back. That's shout out the reviews, shout out John's little message.
Maybe I'm just feeling
I'm feeling myself.
Yeah.
It's okay. No, it's all good, man. You should.
He said the drive to work takes about 45 minutes each way. For the past week, I have been routinely drinking my coffee and listening to your podcast on the way there and back. I am close to catching up on the episode, so hopefully you two keep this up so I can keep getting my fix.
Based on that letter, I think he drinks his coffee black. I don't. And I wouldn't judge him if he didn't. I feel like when it's that late or that early, I feel like you can't put creamer in it. I feel like creamer is like after 8 o'clock.
When I worked at FedEx, I drank Monster coffees.
Monster energy drink coffees, like those Java things.
Yeah. Wasn't probably good for my health.
Probably not.
But anyway, I appreciate you guys listening to this because I know the night shift is hard. I just want to say thank you.
I also want to shout John out because he put my name first.
It flows better. Listen, I'm not going to lie. It flows better.
Tyler and Charlie?
Yeah.
It does.
I know. I'm okay with that, though.
That's good.
I have enough confidence
Security.
to be okay with that.
Absolutely. You got to own it.
Yeah. I like it.
Yeah. Nobody thinks it's because I'm better.
Now you're putting it out there.
No, nobody thinks that, I promise.
No, I'm going to think
They're
it.
like, I'm not saying it first because he's more talented. It's just that's the way it flows better.
I hate you. So John was on vacation with his family and his mother, his father, and his sister Mary. John, I think, is somewhat sensitive, but I think his sister is more sensitive.
And we're talking in the paranormal sense.
So he's given us 2 stories from the same trip. Like I said before, they bookend each other. One happened to his sister, and that happens first. And the other one happens to John. That happens second. Same location. One's at the beginning, one's at the end.
And this is all in San Francisco, a trip to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder where he's from originally.
I'll tell you.
Oh, you're going to tell me?
Yeah, I'll tell you.
Okay. It happens. The second one's after Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. And the first one is still after he got hurt because Jimmy Garoppolo is always hurt.
When did that happen?
Always.
Oh, okay.
Every year. Whenever I can drop the NFL in here.
The year is 2009.
Okay, he was probably like 14 then. No, he might have been like 17. I don't know. So what year? 2009?
Yeah, 2009. So
okay.
I'm in senior year of high school at this point. Yeah.
I was a junior.
Yeah, you're a little baby.
It's literally 1 year.
One of the strangest parts about this location is that it's old. John and his sister both witnessed supernatural activity on this property, and multiple events have been confirmed by the staff. However, nothing appears online. You can't find anything online, no testimonies, anything about this location.
What is this location?
It is the Marine Memorial Hotel.
Marine Memorial. It's just a bunch of fish and stuff, like stingrays.
No, more like
jellyfish.
things like the Marines.
Oh, like guns and
yeah.
hats, berets, and
Mm-hmm.
So. Okay, let me try and unpack this. So you can't find anything online about this hotel?
Yeah, it's a hotel.
So you can't find anything online about the hotel, but the staff say that it's haunted?
We'll get to it in one of the stories where the staff talks about this place actually being haunted. But, like, there's no eyewitness testimony. There's no staff stories about this. I was working here and I saw a ghost. None of that appears online. Maybe they scrubbed for it. I don't know. But I couldn't find anything. John couldn't find anything. We both agree we couldn't find anything online about this.
Okay.
So
did you write him a letter back because he wrote us that letter? Dear John, I did not find anything.
Dear John.
You're like, from Charlie and Tyler.
I married your girlfriend. I'm sorry. That's a Dear John letter.
Oh, God. I didn't know where you were going with that.
No, I didn't. I didn't write him back. So, Mary's sighting comes first in this timeline. And what's really important to note, no one saw the same thing she did. She was alone in witnessing her phenomenon.
Which makes it very believable, very reliable. I'm just joking, Mary. I buy into this shit. I'm on your side.
So John says this was approximately mid-2009. And he said that they bounced around a lot growing up. So, like, they moved from place to place. But he was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico. But in 2008, his family and himself moved to Monterey, California because of his dad's job. While they only lived there for a few years, his parents enjoyed taking advantage of living so close to a big city that was on the coast, like San Francisco. And the events of this story take place on the second time visiting the hotel, the Marine Memorial Hotel. So this place is 12 stories tall. It was built in 1926, and originally it was called the Western Woman's Club. Now, maybe this ties into the Vanishing Woman. We can talk about that at the end. But then it was bought and reopened on November 10th, 1946 as the Marine Memorial Hotel, and it opened on the anniversary of the Marine Corps.
Makes sense. So different ownership entirely.
Yeah, exactly. So this was a really good quote from John, so I kept it. The hotel is quite fancy and maintains a lot of grandeur that was designed during the construction. And dude, he's not wrong. I looked up pictures. I would not mind staying here. It is beautiful. It is really cool.
Do you like old school, like antique architecture style stuff? Or are you more of a modern? Like, would you rather have a high-tech room, or would you rather have, like, an old, like, historic room?
I like old furniture.
See, I'm 100% modern.
With modern accessories.
Dude, old furniture looks uncomfortable to my eyeballs, so my butt is not going to take a seat. Like, sometimes you see, like, the most awkward angle chair in, like, the corner of a room with no bookcase nearby, no end table. It's just sitting there. Pretty much it's begging you not to sit on it. And you sit on it and you're like, I would rather be sitting in quicksand. But I believe you entirely, #believable, that this place is beautiful.
It's very nice. There's like really nice fireplaces and stuff.
Because it is very cold in San Francisco.
It's very nice in San Francisco.
Yeah.
You've never been there, have you?
No. I've never been in California.
Oh my god, I love California. I do. I think I mentioned that before. It's one of my favorites.
You did, yes.
Yeah. So right after John and his family had checked in for the second time at the Marine Memorial Hotel, they started going to their room. And it's the late morning, right? Late 11 o'clock, almost noon. And their room was somewhere between the 6th and the 9th floor. To set the scene, they are just getting off this elevator and they're starting to go down this hall. And their room was, of course, located at the end of the hall. And I hate when that happens. So they're going down this hall and they pass a small, like, offshoot hallway to the side, to the right. Now, Mary walked past and looked down this short hall. The mom and the dad were focused on going forward, and John was at that moment looking at his iPod. She was the only one that focused down the hallway, and she stopped in her tracks as the family kept going. Almost stuck where she was, she called out for the family. She was wide-eyed, and she gestured for them to stop and come back to where she was. She pointed down the small hall, not seeing anything. The rest of the family asked her what she was pointing to, because they saw nothing. It was just a small offshoot hallway that had 2 doors and a small window looking to the outside. There was nothing impressive there. Mary said when she looked down the hallway, there was a woman staring through the window through the other side. She was wearing an old-fashioned green dress and a large hat that covered most of her face. Mary was hung up on the fact that she was not in a contemporary dress, and I probably would have been more concerned about the fact that she was outside a window 9 stories in the air. But, you know, each their own.
That was my first question. I'm like, wait a minute. So this woman is floating outside, either 6 to 9 stories high. Both of which are, you have to use your imagination.
Yes, exactly.
Like sixth floor, I get that. But the 9th, a little high.
Yeah.
It's a little high. I'm surprised that she would notice that. I think I have a hard time. I guess I don't have a good grasp on how short this hallway is. Because I think, well, I guess it's daytime. But that would be so off-putting to see something outside the window and to be able to grasp all those details that quickly. And
to think you can only see, like, outside to, like, the cityscape. Mm-hmm. And then there's this woman in front of this window.
And how big is this window if you can see the hat, the hair, the face, the dress?
I would probably only assume, like 4 by 8. Yeah. Not huge.
It's kind of specific. If anybody can go there and measure, and if it's that, I'll give you, it'll for a whole week, it can be Charlie and Tyler. if you got that right. I guess it's not that hard to believe. I have bad eyes too. So like, it takes me a while to focus on something before I actually like pick up on it. Yeah. And so when she calls her family back and she's looking out the window and they don't see it, but she's still seeing it, or did it disappear, or did she disappear when her family came?
By the time the family got back, the woman had vanished.
So, okay, because I wasn't sure if she could see it and they couldn't see it, or if they just missed it.
Right, no. Yeah, it was gone.
That's why you shouldn't be walking around on your phones.
So the dad, he was not feeling it at all. And I just imagine that he was carrying this luggage and his wife's luggage and half the kids' luggage, like across the whole city. And he almost makes it to the room and he's almost there. And the daughter stops. She says, come back. I see something.
He can just feel like one luggage starting to slip from his pinky finger. He's like, I get the message. I'll buy you a damn green dress. Now just keep coming.
And He has to go back like 20 feet, and he doesn't see anything.
This is when horror movie dad gets extra pissed off.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, if you had any chance later on of this episode or movie to convince him that something paranormal was happening, you just lost it.
Yeah, and John, he didn't say his dad was mad in the thing, but I imagine he was pretty upset. Yeah. I would be as a dad.
So, another step back. Mary, the first thing that caught Mary off guard wasn't that she was floating, it's that she wasn't dressed contemporary.
Yeah, she was dressed in an old-fashioned dress, yeah. Yeah, it's this old-fashioned
Maybe it's just because I'm like, guy, that I would be like, there is somebody out this window. But maybe in the moment, I'm just like, oh, person out the window. Maybe it would take me like a few more seconds to be like, wait a minute, I'm on the 6th floor. Wait a minute. She's dressed like somebody from, 70 years ago.
That absolutely could be what happened. Just like first initial thoughts. Because she's obviously not expecting this.
No, it's completely caught off guard. Be crazy if she was expecting it.
Well, then, yeah, that would be another story.
Ghost hunting with Mary.
So like I mentioned, the dad wasn't really believing what was going on, but John and the mom, they did. They really believed what Mary said. And they discuss in the hall, and then they get back to the room, they're unpacking and discussing some more. And then John says that Mary was actually really good at drawing. So John and the mother, they convinced Mary to make a drawing of what she saw. And she actually made it really detailed. But
do we have it?
Unfortunately, it was lost to the sands of time.
Okay.
It's gone.
The sands of time.
I know. So John and Mary decided to go back to the same spot where they saw the woman, or she saw the woman. And John started to get this really freaky feeling because he realized that there was no fire exits outside of this window. There's no way she could have been standing on something.
Is this right after, or is this...
This is probably like half an hour after.
Okay.
It's shortly after.
I got you. Okay. So now he's confirming that this could not have been a real person.
There's no physical way she could have stood outside of this window, is what he's confirming. So even if this woman had been inside of the hotel, like there was a misjudgment or something, she couldn't have ran into the doorway without them hearing because of the key cards. And she couldn't have left and come straight at them because that was the only way out.
Right. At this point, I know this is more discussion based, but like I think it's either you believe it or you don't. I don't think you can try to rationalize. Like normally, under different circumstances with a topic that we have, we'll say like maybe it could have been this or it could have been that. But this, I feel like it's very little gray area. I feel like it's either she saw what she saw or she hallucinated. Mm-hmm. I will not accept that she made this up. That's not a possibility.
So they get to the lobby, and Mary is still finishing her sketch. So they sit down, and while Mary's still sketching, the receptionist started to make small talk with the two youths.
Wait, where are they at?
In the lobby.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I was picturing them in the room.
No. So politely, she asked if she could see the drawing. And as Mary turned it around, the woman became silent. And then she excused herself from the room. And she came back a couple moments later with another woman. And she also asked to see the drawing. And when this other woman saw the drawing, she told them that she has seen this woman multiple times, staring through windows or down halls. But when she turns to look back, she's never there. She's gone. So with that staff testimony and what his sister's drawing, John said he wholeheartedly believes what his sister saw.
Well, it's nice to know that someone else...
Yeah, it's nice to, get a...
Especially since, and we don't know the context of the conversation, but it seems like they didn't know it was a paranormal thing. I guess, we don't know what the drawing looks like. But you know what I mean? It's like, if they weren't like, oh, this person has had a paranormal story, we're listening to a paranormal podcast, something spooky happened. They're just in a lobby looking at this girl saying, what are you drawing? And then they see it, and they instantly make that connection to who it was.
Yeah.
That makes it more credible to me. There was no influence or bias.
Yeah, they didn't say, we saw this woman and she vanished.
We saw this lady floating outside our window. Have you ever seen this in a hallway looking at you creepily and then disappearing? That'll give us more credibility. And she's like, let me get my friend.
So let's move on. This is the other bookend. This is John's encounter. So this is not the super long story. So he didn't tell me how long the family stayed there, but this happens on the last night. And the family decided to eat at the fancy restaurant on top of the tower.
There's a There's a restaurant on the top of this hotel?
Yeah, that's not that uncommon, actually.
I've been to a sushi one in Canada before, but now I'm more apt to go to this hotel because...
Is it a fancy restaurant?
Yeah, fancy restaurant on the rooftop. Yeah, I'm down. I don't care if it's not modern. I
when
don't need to charge my phone.
On the same trip I went to Chicago with my dad, I went to the top of the John Hancock building and ate at that restaurant.
I don't know what that is.
It's one of the tallest towers in Chicago, and it was amazing.
That's cool. You and your dad just traveling the United States.
Yeah, when I was 17, we did that.
Going on top of buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
It was just like a cross-country travel with your dad at 17?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I did that. We broke down in Idaho.
Oh. That's why you know where Idaho was. You very starkly in a different world knew where Idaho was.
Yeah, I know where a lot of states are.
Yeah.
Not to brag. But anyway, so they're eating at the top of this hotel. So toward the end of the meal, John leaves. He leaves to go explore the topmost floor of this building because it's interesting. It's later. The lights are all off in this top area because it's mostly ballrooms and like conference rooms.
So they're not outside. Like this isn't rooftop. This is top floor.
Top floor. That's right.
Okay. He's just exploring.
And he's exploring with his iPod light.
Oh.
So he's using his light from his iPod as a flashlight.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So he starts to like go into the stairwell. As he went into the stairwell, he felt like he was being watched. You know, that feeling with there's just eyes on you?
It was his phone, dude, listening and watching.
He said he only felt that a couple times, and this was one of those times. But this perhaps was the most ominous. And John turned to look back, and he saw in the corner there was an extremely black mass in the shape of a person. And he blinked, and it had darted around the corner. And he felt this nauseous feeling, and he immediately ran out of the stairwell to the safety of his family and fine dining. And at this point, he was done. He was done exploring because, there's only so much shadow figures you can take.
So the lesson is if you could be exploring a creepy stairwell or you could be with your family eating fine cuisine, opt for the fine cuisine.
I think so, yeah. So
unless you're the one picking up the tab, you go to that stairwell.
Like I mentioned at the top of this episode, there is nothing online about this place being haunted. Like I looked for a good couple hours. There's nothing. So did the kids imagine what they saw? Were the staff women humoring the family? No matter what, I want to end on this really nice quote from John.
Is it about us again?
I appreciate you guys taking the time to read my story. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Nothing was, it was all clear. You said, I would love for you guys to discuss this on your podcast sometime. Wishing you the best, John. So that was really nice. But that is the story of the Vanishing Woman and also John's story about the Shadow Man. So this is the time where we want to stop and say thank you to the people that support us on Patreon. Thank you so much to our new patron, Aaron.
We appreciate everybody helping us out and supporting the podcast on Patreon. We always say it, but we'll say it again. Always new content, listener submission interviews. We actually have a really crazy one, and I don't mean crazy as unbelievable. I mean crazy as in it will blow your mind. Listener submission interview coming out with Isaac from Hidden in the Shadows.
Always good stories from Isaac.
Always good. So involved in the paranormal environment and community, even if he doesn't want to, which he does.
He does.
But he kind of doesn't have a choice.
Yeah, thankfully he does.
Yes, actually, that's a really good point. We do social media responses. As everybody who follows us on Instagram knows, every Monday we put out a question. You guys respond. We respond to those responses and also give our own opinions on those. That's on Patreon. Free merch, like you guys heard in July, we gave away the Bee Leaving the Bizarre shirt. So if you're enjoying the podcast and you want a little bit more content, head over to Patreon, Believing the Bizarre, and check it out.
So, now it's back to the discussion. So Tyler, after hearing the stories from John and John's sister,
Mary,
how do you feel about the Vanishing Woman at the Marine Memorial Hotel?
Listen, I know you said you didn't find any information, but The Vanishing Woman is a very good title, so I think something needs to be written about her. So all you bloggers out there, pick that up.
I agree.
You can credit us. Just do, Believing the Bizarre Tyler
That's going to be a theme this whole
Dash.
episode. Okay, I see.
Charlie.
Yeah.
Mother Chucka. Chalele. All right, here's my honest opinion. I think that Mary saw something unbelievable out the window, and it freaked him out, and it was confirmed by the staff, because, one, I don't know why they would go down the route of, like, I don't know why they would even say something if they didn't recognize it. You know what I mean? Like, there was no context, no bias. They just saw the picture, got someone else, saw the picture, and said, we've seen her too. Which is something I don't know I would do with a guest. I think I would tell my coworker, oh my God, she saw her too.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would tell, I don't know how old they are.
I'm not sure.
I mean, if she's older, maybe, but if she's young, I don't know. I don't think, oh, I saw that ghost too. Isn't she terrifying? Enjoy your stay.
I assume that
just so you know, the ghosts do not follow the do not disturb sign.
I was thinking early teens, preteens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that is true. On the flip side, I think John believes in what he saw, but I think he was heavily influenced by what his sister saw. So I'm less likely to believe that John had a paranormal experience, because I think he was biased by all the creepy stuff that was happening on this trip already. Because it was less, had less substance. You know, it was already creepy. He's in a dark area, using your phone. Your mind's probably already wandering. You're thinking about what your sister saw. And then you see this shape, you know, and then it moves and stuff like that. Now, that being said, if I'm to believe Mary's story, I have to already assume that it is a haunted hotel.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying I think John's is unbelievable. I don't. I think they're both in the viable, believable territory. Everything for me is above skeptical. It's viable to believable for me as of right now. I'm just saying I think Mary's experience is for sure not her mind playing a trick on her. Where I think there's a chance that John's could have been heavily influenced by the context of Mary's experience.
Like, he's already freaked out, his adrenaline's going.
Yeah.
And then he turns around and he sees a shadow.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
And he might have seen it. Again, I'm not saying he's lying. I'm not saying it's unbelievable. I'm just saying I don't think if the fact that somebody working at this hotel could see her drawing and say, I've seen her too, to me, that means that her mind didn't make up that woman. That woman has to have some space in the real world for other people that have experienced it too. So Mary's to me is believable, where John's, I'm like, okay, did he see a shadow? Or was he freaking out because he was already thinking about paranormal stuff because of his sister?
Like, his brain's already primed for that kind of thought.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, this is John's submission. Well, okay, before I give my thing, you go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts, and then I'll give you where I'm at.
Here's the thing. I was really skeptical about Mary's story until it got to the point where...
You were skeptical when it said Tyler and Charlie.
I was skeptical,
as you read and you forgot about it.
Where it got to the point where Mary said no one else saw this thing except for her.
Yeah.
And then he said, to the point where she sketched it out, and then she brought it down to the people. Then they confirmed they saw it as well without being prompted. That shot it all the way up to believable for me. I understand. Listen, not everything has to be a full cinematic masterpiece, and that's not what this is. It's a moment.
You're talking about like submission story wise.
Yeah, this is just a moment in someone's life where they caught something unusual, paranormal, and they got a decent story out of it.
So let me ask you this. If his story was bullshit, after all those kind words he said about us, how hard would it be to go unbelievable?
Well, one, it'd be extremely hard. Two, I don't think it was. I think, at the very least, you're right, his brain was already primed to see something. Maybe he did. I don't want to say he didn't, because I don't know.
If they were at a different location, for instance, like if this was a follow you home story, like if her experience was at the hotel and then the staff said they saw it and then they went home and then that night or that weekend he said he saw something at his house, I would be more skeptical on that. I'm like, I don't think this lady is leaving or some energy is leaving the hotel. So the fact that he saw at the same exact place that his sister saw this woman that we're both believing, it definitely leans more that it's true. I just have, it's like my skepticism where I have to consider the fact that he was primed to see something because of what she experienced. But it is haunted. And I will say all this goes out the window if something was left out of this story where she's like, let me see what you're drawing. And Mary's like, oh, it's this ghost I saw.
Yeah, no,
You know what I
I
mean?
didn't see
So-
that in my readings or in my readings. I don't think that's what happened, but
I'm just saying I'm going off the understanding that there was no bias or influence in terms of what the staff got when they looked at the picture. I'm assuming it was just, what are you drawing? They looked at what she was drawing. I've seen that.
it was presented that way because I think you're right. It shows the how valid it is. But maybe that shadow figure is just another form of this woman.
Oh, it absolutely could be.
Yeah, I don't know. Overall, I go with viable.
I think Mary's story is believable. I think John's story is viable, but the episode's called "The Vanishing Woman," not the shadow in the stairwell. So
That's true.
The topic is about her, where I'm a little bit, I don't want to say more than it, less than iffy, more believable, but a little skeptical about John's experience because of the staff. I do believe that there is this woman that people are seeing at this hotel. I guess even if there's not enough research or stuff out and about it. But since it's about the vanishing woman, and I believe that aspect of the story 100%, I'll actually go believable.
You know what? I agree with you. I agree with you. You're right.
Yes.
I might go believable as well. So thank you for joining us on this episode, The Vanishing Woman.
Yeah, thank you, John, for sending us your submission. Sorry we're getting into it like 6 months later, but
yeah, we're trying our best.
And as we always say, if you want your paranormal story, your paranormal experience, it could be a narrative, it could be things that span over like 10 years, or it can be one moment where you see something crazy.
A snapshot in life.
A snapshot. Anything like that. If you have a paranormal experience that you want talked about, told, and discussed on this podcast, head to believingthebizarre.com, go to submit your experience, and give us as much detail as possible. And your story could be on this here podcast.
And that's right. And if you're really enjoying the podcast, like, what can I do to help the guys out? Go on Apple Podcast, leave a review. Like, I already thanked them at the top, but I'm going to thank you again. Thank you for leaving a review because it's very nice and it helps us.
Yeah, so instead of telling a friend to tell a friend this time, just do it yourself. You know what? Sometimes when you get in the weeds and the trenches and any other analogy for getting shit done, you got to do it yourself. So don't tell a friend unless you really want to. I won't tell you not to, but why don't you just do it yourself and go to Apple Podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. If you like it. If you don't like it and you're feeling like you're going to give us less, go outside, do something else. Put your phone down. The blue lights, it's affecting your eyes. Definitely not good for sleeping. But as always, thank you so much for listening. I'm Tyler.
And I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre,
A podcast as bizarre as you are.